In every single case, somebody shows up and thinks they live on a globe and says, we know it's a globe. First and foremost, you can guarantee they have a severe lack of knowledge. Secondly, you can already know that due to that severe lack of knowledge, they are unable to comprehend the conversation. That's all fine, people's beliefs, but here's the big mistake and where this is how far back we have to go to correct their comprehension and just to point out the reality of the situation. When you come to the age where somebody tells you Santa Claus is not real, and you begin to assess the situation, and you realize, yeah, it's not scientifically viable, do you all of a sudden go, oh, you're going to have to prove he's not real? You can't debunk Santa Claus. You can't prove to me he's not real. Then they want to show up every January and call you and go, see, another 4.2 billion children got presents this year. Of course Santa Claus is real. Until you can prove he's not, our made-up fairy tale wackadoodle science fiction reality remains real until you can prove every single detail that pulls the rug completely out from underneath our belief in Santa Claus. Every detail. We want you to map out the entirety of the solution. Where are the presents coming from? Who made them? How did they get here? That's a lot of people. You're telling me that it's some giant conspiracy that parents all over the earth are going to the store the night before Christmas and putting... That's a massive conspiracy, Lucky. Once you go, hey, y'all, there's no proof of Santa Claus. Okay, now, this is why it's so important that the masses are lied to, even though it's implicative, as Professor Parks liked to point out. He says it's not his fault or his job to tell the dumb, blinded masses that the globe Earth is not a fact and that science doesn't prove anything. Because I always tell him, don't you realize the amount of people you are hurting? And he goes, how am I hurting anybody? And I'm like, well, you're at the highest level of academia. You're well aware the globe Earth has never been proven scientifically or factually other than outer space on your television. This is the one thing that the highest level of academia and Lucky Haskins and most flat earthers all agree on. There is no scientific proof of any globe Earth, okay? At the highest level of academia tell you, well, we didn't teach that science to them as if it was fact. It's not our fault they latched onto it like it's factual. They should know science doesn't prove anything. It's just our best guess. Right. So I tell Mr. Parks, well, then you should spend the rest of your life telling people who are being so hurt, educationally wise. People are literally, most Americans walking around thinking it was scientifically proven that we live on a globe Earth. The highest levels of academia know that's not true, of course. And anybody who has dove into the conversation deep enough to understand what the flat Earth discussion's even about also know it's never been proven scientifically. It is simply a show on television. The highest levels of academia will tell you, if they believe in the globe, they'll tell you we proved it when we went to outer space. So now you have to believe in outer space, okay, the belief in outer space, plus the belief we went to outer space. I know outer space doesn't exist, and I know we never went to outer space because it disagrees with experiment. I've always kept both of my boots on the ground. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. Nobody's ever going to travel using theory that disagrees with experiment. This is why you cannot fly a plane using a theory that disagrees with experiment. Pretty simple stuff, folks. There are no applications for things that disagree with experiment. The globe Earth wholeheartedly disagrees with experiment. That's why it's never relevant to any application, ever. It's never going to be relevant to engineering. It's never going to be relevant to travel. It's never going to be relevant to anything. It has no application, nor will anything that disagrees with experiment ever have an application. It's really that simple, folks.